All right, need Scott Hicks and Troy Lewis to the lobby. Really talented basketball players wearing tuxedos. Scott Hicks, Troy Lewis to the lobby, please. Thank you. Scott Hicks. Need Scotty Hicks to the lobby, please. Coach Hicks, AD Hicks. Really good player, Scott Hicks, to the lobby, please. Thank you. All right, folks, if you could head back to your tables. We're going to get started here in about 2 minutes. We're kind of taking a final group picture of the Hall of Famers. So if you could head back to your tables, we'll get started in 2 minutes. Thank you very much. I'm good, champ. How are you? All right, folks. Let's get started, shall we? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to one of the best nights in Indiana basketball every year. My name is Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network and the IHSAA Champions Network, and for a 6th consecutive year, I have the honor of welcoming you to Primo's Banquet Center South and the latest installment of the Men's Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Normally, I'm a play-by-play guy. For this event, at the start, I play the role of a public address announcer. Let us introduce our members of the Silver Anniversary team and then our incoming Hall of Famers. John Standiford. Corey Seegers. Shane Power. Austin Parkinson. Andre L. Owens. Bryant Northern. Mickey McGill. Adam C. Mark. Mark Drake. Ron Dokes. Braden Bushman. And Michael Bennett. We want to recognize those that couldn't be here tonight: Brett Busher, Steve Draben, John Hamilton, Jared Jeffries, Zach Randolph, and Aaron Thomas, your 2025 Silver Anniversary team. Now for our Hall of Famers: Daryl Warren, Jim Shannon, Jeff Moore, Dave McCullough. This is our annual check of who bought the biggest crowd. Troy Lewis, Greg Humnicki, Leroy Ronald Johnson, Irv Iniger. I know the Inigers, they're a loud bunch. Scott Hicks, Ron Heklinski, and Matthew Graves. And we have one other guest that has a very valid excuse for not being here. He's coaching in the NCAA tournament this weekend, Bryce Drew. You guys are standing. I'll ask you to stay there. If everybody else could please stand. We have a flag that is right behind me. Like any great sporting event, we're going to start it off with our national anthem. Well, we go back and forth whether we should have a live performance of the national anthem or just kind of pick one of the best. So obviously we picked the best one of all time from Super Bowl 25 and Whitney Houston. Before we break bread, let's please have our invocation. I want to welcome up a gentleman that, again, we frankly could not have this event without. Such a wonderful and treasured board member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Eskew.
According to your own beliefs, let us bow our heads. We gather here this evening to praise and honor the lives and careers of our living and deceased honorees. Each honoree has been blessed with talents that enable them to succeed both on the court and in their daily lives. We also thank our honorees for living their lives in a way that has inspired each of us to model our own lives and those of younger boys after them. Our deceased honorees will forever remembered and recognized by the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. We pause to give thanks for the many coaches, teachers, teammates, and officials that have motivated them and touched their lives. We give thanks to their parents and family who sacrificed, took them to many practices and games, encouraged each to play by the rules, to never give up, and to be a great teammate. We give thanks to our coaches that we are honoring for their influence and life lessons given to their players. We give thanks for the leadership and vision of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. We ask your blessings for all who have gathered this evening as we acknowledge the accomplishments of our honorees. Bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies, and we give thanks to those who prepared us. Guide all of us as we return to our homes safely with renewed memories of the wonderful game of basketball. Amen.
All right, folks, time to eat. Once everybody has been served, we will restart our program sometime in the vicinity of 7 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Ball State grad, so she's spending
almost didn't go through it. It was one of those where we were already there. We did Brookings and Fargo back to back. And in our league, it was Thursday, Saturday. It wasn't like the Central Conference was Friday, Saturday. It was Thursday, Saturday. So Thursday in Brookings, this is the first week of February. Brookings was great. Friday in Fargo was sunny and Thursday. This is easy. Hey, the storm's coming in. You're here. You're going to play the game anyway. But wind chills tomorrow are 50 below. I understand. Oh, okay. I don't know how. Yeah. Okay. Give me the high sign, yep. And I had two questions for you. So we had a blank for the person from Frankfurt, so it was deceased Hall of Fame. Do you know who that is? Okay. Got it. Just recognize it. And then the other question I had,
They were big with volleyball and swimming. The gals.
brain fade. We had two.
So after this, if you want to start with before Donna, I'll do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or some of the early volleyball state tournaments came out of South Bend. Riley and
Yeah, you go ahead.
Well,
Well,
a
come up
couple
and
of
Donna's
them
introduce
boys.
balls for this. And the officials are divided. Or does she do that? Yeah, balls.
Hands up, supposed to that.
And then, do we have a video for Bryce? So just mention that he couldn't be here and Grand Canyon's got it. Okay. That's what I had. You just tell me when to go.
Basketball, they had a team from Riley that had a first team back in the 30s.
Appreciate it.
Give me a picture. David is at every athletic event.
South Bend Adams, where they spent $50 million on a total building renovation. When they got done, the insurance guy came through and said, you didn't address the issue with the diving board and the short. Everything had been grandfathered in so they could use, because the divers, a lot of times when they dove, they would touch the bottom of the pool. So because you didn't do anything with the renovation, we're going to decertify all of your pools in South Bend that don't meet the requirement. So at Clay, we got nailed. Sal and Jackson were still being used for public swimming, and yet Washington, which was the oldest pool, was deep enough for some strange reason. Yeah. Yeah, so that's mine. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We are. Yes. So go to, it's on Twitter, YouTube, or you can go to our website, iscsportsnetwork.com. Yes, please do. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Please do. You're welcome. Thank you very much. What's your name? Greg Rakestraw. Nice to meet you. See you back up here shortly. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Be surprised.
Bill, I got one question for you.
One of my players
Take that where you need to.
second most minutes, second most
Very nice. Very end.
Austin Parks, right? Greg Humnick. I know your dad Bruce from yeah.
Who of the 1975 Marion So he knows not to come up. Okay. Yes, it was. Thank you.
She played the entire season. She said, I kid you, she said, last year she played 20 minutes a game, 38 minutes a game. I said, it's like,
take a lot of bad shots because their team defensively or offensively didn't have it.
then I said, Dad, last year they know your name. This year they know your name.
We were letting her get threes off the play.
So
She said, make her put it on the floor.
Ready to roll? We get started again? Okay. As in Jim? Well, his seat's right over there. Not sure where his table is either. I know his table was 84 in the crowd. It might be over there.
Yeah, that's South Bend.
All right, folks, consider this your 5-minute warning. We're going to restart the program in 5 minutes. You need to get an extra beverage, now's the time. Need to use a bathroom, now's the time. We will get started with our program in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. But I got a lot of pressure on the South Bend guys, Tommy debates and those guys. They threatened me. They said, when I talked to your that night. I said, my whole family's saying that. Takes me 3 to get my family. When I did my student teaching, so you're not going to go as long as Pete's missing the name. I did my student teaching. I coached the freshman team.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Teaching on the shoe. He's retired already now.
Okay. You got it. Okay, you got it. On it. Yes, sir, Ralph. I don't know. I haven't seen him. Right. I'm not sure there's anybody that's kind of tied in that's going to be inducted this year, so I haven't seen him, but I don't know. Yeah, haven't seen him yet. Who we trying to deduce? Who we're trying to find?
Well, Borden won one, girls. And Old H is pretty good. Tuesday, and I met his daughter. Because I had dated my wife over the last round.
Oh, you went to Chicago, you're good.
Picture of me, because I was 24 and her dad was about 15.
All right, folks, if you could head back to your seats, we'll get started in 2 minutes. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Thank you very much. All right, folks, let's head back to your seats. We're going to get the show started. All right, folks, as folks are heading back to their seats, I'll give you a couple of pieces of information before we get the program officially underway. First of all, you might look towards the back of the room and see that we have cameras going tonight. That is basically for those of you that could not be here, if you have friends or family that would like to watch the ceremony, you can do that. ISCSportsNetwork.com, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Apple TV, and Roku is where you can watch the festivities this evening. Ralph Taylor came up to me before we got started and asked me to do a favor. When Ralph says something, I do it. In case you wonder and are thinking, hey, I know someone that should be in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, all you have to do is open to page 1 of your program. There, it goes through all of the steps in which you need to kind of be required, application, voting, etc. If you think there is someone that deserves to be on this stage with these greats to my right and left, simply go to the first page of the program that is on your table. And now the man that can talk much more about the Hall of Fame than I, because it's what he does for a living, and he does it exceedingly well. Let's get the party started with the Executive Director of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Matt Martin.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate another sellout crowd to honor these inductees, Silver Anniversary team members, honor teams, CCO members, so thank you for being here. Just some housekeeping notes first. For respect to our honorees as well as those around you, please turn off or silence your cell phones or other electronic devices. Again, thank you to Primo Banquet Hall, Mary Ann and staff. We would like to announce again that tonight's banquet is officially sold out with a crowd of over 900 in attendance, which speaks greatly to how much Indiana basketball means to this state. So thank you for being here. I want to thank the Hall of Fame staff, Assistant Director Kayla Kessler, Operations Coordinator Cheryl Benton, Publications Coordinator Noah Dahlquist, and Development Director Corey Criswell. Also, thank you to the countless and priceless Hall of Fame volunteers. Without these men and women, the Hall of Fame would not be able to function how it does. Special thanks to Dr. Phil Eskew and Bill Walker, co-chairs of our Men's Banquet Committee, for all their hard work behind the scenes making this possible. If you enjoyed visiting the Hall of Fame Museum earlier today and you enjoyed our new expansion, or if you are interested in supporting the Hall of Fame and being involved beyond attending today's festivities, consider joining our membership roll. See page 111 on our program book for membership information and registration. There are free Hall of Fame materials located at each of your tables to take home. Just a friendly reminder that in tandem with our partnership with Henry Community Health, the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame Museum is a free museum for all visitors to enjoy. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, which are located on page 11, the Indiana Pacers, Indiana Fever, Indiana Basketball Coaches Association, the IHSAA, Citizens State Bank, Henry Community Health, Jostens, and Shepherd Insurance. So thank you to all our corporate partners. We really appreciate all your help and support. Now, for the remarks, and tonight's first award is our current Hall of Fame president, Donna Sullivan.
Thank you, Matt. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the honorees along with their family and friends to tonight's program. And for sake of time and due to the length of this evening's program, I would simply second everything that Matt said about thank you to the office staff at the Hall of Fame, the Board of Directors, the Executive Committee, as well as members of our other committees, and especially the volunteers. I first started coming to the Hall of Fame some 20 years ago when Mr. Lloyd Barney Scott was coach at Seymour, and I never expected to one day become the president. I learned a lot about the Hall of Fame from him on a drive from Seymour to Newcastle. And as I complete my second year, 2 years of my term, the end of this last week of June coming up, I would like to thank all the Hall of Fame staff, the board, the executive committee for the honor of allowing me to serve in this position, honoring the great players, coaches, and contributors that make up the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. And this evening, we're going to honor the class of 2025. From the groundbreaking a year ago in October, to the classic this past December, to the work of the number of committees on the new women's exhibit in the Hall of Fame and some other new exhibits, and the reopening of the Hall of Fame in December, it's been a great experience for me. I thank you for your support and attendance tonight, because without your help and your encouragement and financial assistance, we couldn't accomplish the mission of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, which is to honor, preserve, and promote the heritage of Indiana high school basketball. Now sit back and relax and enjoy another night, another great evening, as at this time I'd like to present the President's Award. The President's Award is given at each banquet. It goes to a person who kind of goes out of their way to do things for the Hall of Fame, and never expects to ever get an honor for it. And this year's President's Award winner, we hired in January of 2023 as the publications coordinator at the Hall of Fame. And before joining the Hall of Fame team, he was the office manager of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum, along with many other notable Indianapolis area historical institutions, including the Indiana Historical Society and the James Whitcomb Riley Museum Home. Since he joined the Hall of Fame, he composes the quarterly magazine. If any of you are members of the Hall of Fame, every quarter you get a very, very, very nice magazine, and he's responsible for a lot of changes to that magazine to make it a lot nicer than it probably used to be. He also is the coordinator for both programs, the one tonight and the one for the Women's Banquet in April. And he's worked to improve our online and social media outlets. And not only improve it, he's made it great. I don't think you can pick up any morning in the last week, or really about the last month, and didn't have a Hall of Fame thing someplace, either on Facebook or on X, and Instagram, and many other outlets. And he updates the museum touchscreens, of which we added a lot of new ones when we added a new building area. And anything else that needs to be done, just say his name and he'll show up. I'd like to present the President's Award 2025 to Noah Dahlquist. Noah and his wife, Holly, live in Greenfield, Indiana, and he's originally from Rochester. We won't hold that against him. He is passionate about Indiana high school basketball. Why don't you go around and come back this way so I don't have to reach across. He is passionate about Indiana high school basketball history, and he's enthusiastic about contributing to the Hall of Fame team's mission, and that is to continue to make Indiana high school basketball the best in the country.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
Was it surprising?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was surprising. Thank you.
Noah, congratulations. That is very much a deserved honor. And I want to make sure that I take this opportunity to congratulate Donna. She mentioned Barney Scott and the Barney Scott Gymnasium in Seymour, which a lot of people in this area have played in that gymnasium. As fans, we've seen great games in that gymnasium. Very soon, when you go to the Barney Scott Gymnasium, the name that you will see on the floor of that gymnasium will be Donna Sullivan. The court is named after her. Donna, congratulations. And with that, it is time to recognize our Center Circle Officials Award. And to do that, a past president of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Baltz.
Thanks, Greg. I notice the longer I'm retired, the little bit better the applause gets every year. So thanks. We're off to a great start. Each year, the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame honors 3 individuals for their contributions as Indiana high school boys basketball officials, and they become recipients of the Center Circle Officials Award. Tonight, we honor 3 outstanding officials and recognize them for their contributions to our great game here in Indiana. As they're introduced, we ask each recipient or their representative to come to the stage, where they will be met by Mr. Mark Masariu, a 2019 Center Circle official honoree, who will present them with their plaque. To view their full bios, please refer to page 30 in your banquet program. Tonight's first honoree is the late Kevin Lewis. During his officiating career, Kevin called 23 sectionals, 20 regionals, 5 semi-states, and 2 state finals in 2017 and 2022 in boys basketball. He also officiated girls basketball with numerous sectional and regional assignments, as well as 5 semi-states and 2 state finals as well for the girls. Over the years, he officiated the Hall of Fame Classic tournaments on 5 different occasions. He served on the IOA board for 12 years and was recognized as the 2024 IOA Official of the Year and was presented the IHSAA Commissioner's Distinguished Service Award by Commissioner Paul Neidig at last year's Boys State Finals. Accepting the award this evening for Kevin is his lovely wife, Missy Lewis. Let's congratulate Kevin Lewis and the Lewis family. Missy, come around this way. There you go. Thanks. Thanks, Missy. Our next 2025 Center Circle honoree is Mr. Larry Nixon. In addition to serving on the Western Indiana Officials Board for over 36 years, Larry had an outstanding officiating career from 1970 to 2020. Nixon worked 28 sectionals, 20 regionals, 8 semi-states, and 4 state finals in 97, 2001, 2004, and 2017. He also, being from the western side of the state, also officiated in Illinois, working 10 regionals, which is comparable to our sectionals here in Indiana. He also officiated football, and in football he worked 12 sectionals, 6 regionals, 3 semi-states, and 2 state finals in football in 2002 and 2006. In 2011, Larry was recognized with the Roy Gardner Award from the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association and the Interscholastic Athletic Official Association Award, which is bestowed by the IHSAA. Tonight we honor 2025 Center Circle Officials Award honoree, Larry Nixon. You move about as fast as you did on the floor. He's getting there, he said. Had the honor to work a lot with Larry during his career. Congratulations, Larry.
Sir, thank you very much.
That's all right. Our third and final honoree this evening is Rick Scott. Rick has been officiating since 1980 and, believe it or not, is still going strong. Over the years, Rick has worked 32 sectionals, 26 regionals, 7 semi-states, and 3 boys state finals in 98, 2002, and 2005. As well as the 2000 Hall of Fame Classic in boys basketball. He also has worked 11 sectionals, 8 regionals, in girls basketball, and in addition, he also has officiated football and has worked 5 state finals in football as well. Rick is active in the North Central Officials Association, where he served in numerous roles, and in 2003 was named winner of the Interscholastic Athletic Officials Association Award from the IHSAA. Congratulations to our 2025 Center Circle Official Award honoree, Rick Scott. Thank you, and let's give it up one more time for the Stripes. Thanks.
Mark, thank you very much. The next group that we will honor will be the state champs from 100, 50, and 25 years ago. So let's take it back a century. The state champs in 1925 were the Frankfurt Hot Dogs. Frankfurt beat Kokomo. You're used to it here in Indiana. They're the hot dogs. Frankfurt beat Kokomo 34-20 in the final game of the tournament that was played at the Indianapolis Exposition Building. The tournament took place over 2 days. Frankfurt and Kokomo actually had played twice during the regular season, splitting their matchups. Dr. James Naismith, you know the guy that invented the sport? He was at the championship game as a guest of the IHSAA, and he presented the awards at the conclusion of the games. Frankfurt head coach Everett Case. Case Arena at Frankfurt, ring a bell? End of the season 27-2. Wilbur Cummins, who we are inducting into the Hall of Fame tonight as our Centennial Award winner, was a leader for that hot dog team. Robert Spradling led the scoring in the final game with 13 points. Ladies and gentlemen, the champions from 1925, the Frankfurt Hot Dogs. Let's fast forward 50 years, shall we? The 1975 Marion Giants won the state title. It was the first time they had won in 49 years. It would not take them 49 years to win again, multiple times. In 1975, the Giants defeated Jack Butcher's Lagodi Lions 58-46 in the first championship game held at Market Square Arena, March 22nd, 1975. Bill Green won his second of many championships. Of course, he led Indianapolis, Washington, the title in 1969. The Giants had their entire starting 5 back in Rob Accord, Bill Lester, Kevin Pearson, Doug Harris, David Colescott, and many other key reserves as well. Kevin Pearson would be on the All-Star team in 1975. David Colescott would be Mr. Basketball the next year and would play at the University of North Carolina. The Giants went 28-1 in 1975, their lone loss coming to Fort Wayne Snyder in February. That Marion team also began a remarkable streak. It was the first of 13 consecutive regional championships for the Giants. Ladies and gentlemen, your champs of 1975, Marion High School. And now, our 4 champions from the year 2000. Dave Warland will be joining me to present some plaques. We recognize the champions of 1A, Central Catholic High School of Lafayette. The Knights led wire to wire, but got a battle before they were able to overcome Union Duggar, 82-70. It was the second state championship in 1A in the first 3 years of the format of the tournament. It was held March 25th, 2000, and it was the first basketball state championship game on the boys' side that was held at then Conseco Fieldhouse. Central Catholic finished 23-5. Knights led by as many as 18 before Union battled their way back into the game. Tyler Best led CC with 21 points and 11 rebounds. Russell Trudeau a double-double as well, 13 points and 10 rebounds. Let's recognize a whole host of Central Catholic players and coaches that are here tonight. First of all, I let Dave Warland show off his speed when he won a sectional title with CC back in '73. Rich Gilman, Ryan Gilman. Rich looks like he could play right now, by the way. Chad Arnold. Kevin Muller. Evan Gutzweiler. Burke Richardson. Eric Anthrop. Because every Central Catholic team has an Anthrop on it. Russell Trudeau. Christoph Kendrick. Save one to the side for the guy presenting the plaques, Dave Warland. I'll shake your hand if you want to feel better about it. There you go. All right. Rick Gilman. John Budzinski. Mason Budzinski. Tim Bullis. Sean Martin. And head coach, Chad Dunwoody. This is probably a significant chunk of the enrollment back at CC in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, your Lafayette Central Catholic Knights of 2000. Sure. You guys good? Okay. Sometimes in shows you have a wardrobe change. At the Hall of Fame you have a plaque change. Because all of those plaques were stacked up for the 1A champs. In 2000, the 2A champs for a second consecutive season, the Westview Warriors. They were the first school to win back-to-back titles in the multi-class format, beating Winchester 59-53. The Warriors never trailed. They got a 16-4 lead. They finished 25-3. Adam Bontrager came off the bench to score 16 points. Mark Miller had 13. Westview beat Paoli the year before, and at the time they were the 14th team to win back-to-back boys basketball state titles. Joining us tonight, Adam Bontrager. Sheldon Fry. Armando Ponce. Chris Ponce. Figured if I said it two different ways, I'd be right one of the two. Mr. Ponce, congratulations. These other names I can say. Derek Yoder. Ryan Yoder. See, Yoder is to Westview what Anthrop is to Central Catholic, so Head coach, Troy Neely. And sometimes people get added that I don't have a name for. Jeff Nelson, everybody. Your 2A champs from 2000, Westview High School. Dave, thank you very much. Dave, come on up. Dave Shellhouse will be assisting us for the presentation of the 3A and 4A champs. In 3A, that champion was the Brebeuf Jesuit Braves. We made the Brebeuf table sit actually at Brebeuf High School, all the way over there on the other side of the room. They defeated Andrean 72-56 to win their first boys basketball state championship. Michael Bennett led the way for the Braves with 26 points and 9 rebounds. John Owens had 16 points and 4 boards. It was the culmination of a 14-game winning streak for Brebeuf. Brebeuf jumped to a 15-4 lead, led 33-20 at halftime, and led by 22 at the end of 3 quarters. Andrean got it back within 11, but that was as close as they would get. For Leo Clem, the second-year head coach of Brebeuf at the time, it was his second state championship. The first one came in California in 1991. Joining us for Brebeuf tonight, Evan Beadle. Marcus Bennett. We're about to see if Dave Shellhouse is an ambi-turner because Michael Bennett is over here on the stage. So Michael's coming from the other direction. Michael Bennett. Kathleen Bradshaw. Matt Comparato. Jarvis Joyner. Ashley Jones. Jonathan Owens. Everybody's apologizing to Shane Power as they walk by. Or rubbing it in, one of the two. Blake Erdl. And a name you've heard before, Coach Michael Bennett. No, we may be out. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2000 Brebeuf Jesuit Braves, your 3A champs. And our final champion in 2000 in 4A, the Marion Giants. This was a clash of the Titans at the Fieldhouse. Marion beat Bloomington North 62-56. The crowd a sellout of 18,263. Marion led by Zach Randolph, who went on to play just a few years in the NBA. With a game-high 28 points, he was 13 of 22 from the floor, had 9 rebounds. Deuce Miller had 13 points and 9 boards. Matt Bax had a key defensive role. Todd Shin had 12 points and made 7 of 8 free throws. Marion was ranked number 2 in the state Bloomington North was ranked number 1. I mentioned in 1975 for Marion, it was their first title since 1926. Well, the 2000 championship was their 7th state title. That quarter of a century went pretty well for Marion High School. And again, it was their first since the adoption of class basketball. Marion became the first team to win a boys basketball state title. The same season it won the Hall of Fame Classic as well. Joining us tonight from Marion, Todd Chin. Josh Peters. Coach Chris Smedley. And Steve Moritz. We want to make sure we also recognize again Zach Randolph as part of our honor team tonight, but could not be here, and head coach Mo Smedley as well. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the 2000 4A champions, the Marion Giants. Now it is time to recognize all the gentlemen that are seated in the row in front of us. It is time to recognize our 2025 Silver Anniversary team. If I could have Chad Gilbert and Rick Goins come to the stage, we have a lot of plaques to present. We have 18 honorees, 6 of whom could not be here tonight. We are thrilled that 12 could be here to join us this evening. And Bill Walker is getting his steps in carrying all of these plaques. Bill, thank you. Joe, thank you very much. And as always, Chad, your hair looks marvelous. And I say that out of complete jealousy as I see more of my scalp every time I look up at that camera. A name that we've said a lot, and he's not at his seat right now, Michael Bennett. We'll get back to him. So let's go to Brett Busher. Brett could not be here tonight. We want to make sure we recognize Brett from Chesterton High School. Brett scored 1,365 points while playing for his father, Bob, first at Whiting, then at Chesterton. He was an Indiana All-Star, first-team All-State, academic All-Big Ten. These days, he is a teacher in Minnesota. He could not be with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Busher. Braden Bushman, Mississinawa High School. Braden scored 1,507 points to his career at Ole Miss, was first-team All-Conference 3 times, won 11 varsity letters in 4 different sports, played at Wright State University, currently an assistant coach at Beaver Creek, Ohio, Braden Bushman. Next up, Ron Dokes of South Bend Riley. Ron shot 61% from the floor his senior year, had 11 rebounds a game. First team All-Conference as a junior and senior. Played at Lincoln Trail, Illinois, then went to Duquesne University in Pittsburgh for 2 years. Played professionally in Turkey, France, and the Dominican Republic. His son these days plays here in Indianapolis at Pike High School. Ron lives in Carmel, where he is the head of talent acquisition at MedExcel Corporation. Ron Dokes. Next up, Steve Draben Jr., LaPorte High School. Now, Steve is not here tonight. He's got a very good excuse as to why he's not here. Steve scored over 1,400 points at LaPorte. The Slicers were sectional champs all 4 years. He was an Indiana All-Star. He was second-team All-State. He averaged 27 points per game as a senior. His free throw percentage in high school and college was 92%. Steve played at Belmont, where he scored over 1,200 points there as well. He is currently the head coach at Bethel University, and they play in the NAIA National Tournament this weekend in Kansas City, where they have reached the round of 16. So accepting in his son's behalf, Steve Draben Sr., ladies and gentlemen, Steve Draben Jr. Michael, you ready for another picture? Come on back. Once again, Michael Bennett, Brebeuf Jesuit High School. He averaged just shy of 18 points a game as a senior, scored just shy of 1,200 career points, went to Ball State University, currently a physician recruiter at Ascension St. Vincent Health, and an assistant coach at Noblesville High School, Michael Bennett. Next up, Mark Drake, Shelbyville High School. Mark was the all-time scoring leader when he graduated at Shelbyville after being a 4-year starter. He was a 2-year MVP, had over 1,100 points, led him to the sectional championship his senior year. Got to play at the University of Alaska Anchorage. There's kind of a northern theme. You'll hear more from a couple of Hall of Famers here shortly. He is the all-time leader for the Seawolves in three-pointers made and shot 88% from the free throw line. He is the sales manager for Custom MCK and owner of a Drake Trailer in Shelbyville, Mark Drake. Next up is John Hamilton Jr., Greenfield Central High School. John was an Indiana All-Star, scored over 2,000 points, averaged nearly 24 points per game. He was coached by his father as well in John Hamilton Sr. John played at Weber State, scored over 1,200 career points. He decided to stay in Utah because he is now an education teacher, a physical education teacher, at Mountain Green Middle School in Morgan, Utah. By the way, John had the Greenfield Central scoring record until about 2 months ago when some kid named Braylon Mullins broke it for the first time in 25 years. Again, John could not join us. Let's recognize John Hamilton Jr. Next up is Jared Jeffries from Bloomington North. Jared's got over 1,400 points during his 3-year high school career. Averaged over 23 points a game as a junior and senior. Indiana All-Star, Mr. Basketball, McDonald's All-American, Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year. Trester Mental Attitude Award winner. Played 2 years at Indiana University. Big Ten Player of the Year, national runner-up in 2002. Selected as a first-round pick by the Washington Wizards. 11 seasons in the NBA. Now, it doesn't mention his fishing show on here. I think that should get some credit as well. The full-time avocation, college scout for the Denver Nuggets, could not be here tonight, but let's recognize Jared Jeffries. Next up is Adam Mark, Bremen High School. Adam scored 1,135 points with a field goal average of 63%, 75% from the line. Bremen won a pair of sectionals, a pair of regionals, was first-team all-conference 3 times, academic all-state, class valedictorian at Bremen as well. Scored nearly 1,600 points at Belmont, shot 65% from the field. Received several academic awards from both the school and the league. These days, he is a principal and partner in the Fraser and Dieter accounting firm in Nashville, Tennessee. Adam Mark. Next up, Mickey McGill, Rossville High School. Mickey scored over 1,800 points during his career at Rossville. Several first-team mentions, all-area, all-conference. 10 varsity letters in 3 sports in high school. Led Rossville to the single-A baseball championship in his days playing for the Hornets. He may have instinctively turned right on national and not left when he came to the banquet tonight because he played literally down the street at the University of Indianapolis. In fact, played in 2 NCAA Division II tournaments. These days, he is a project and facilities director and manager in West Lafayette, Mickey McGill. Chad, you were phenomenal. Thank you very much. Hello, Rick. How are you? Next up is Bryant Northern from Jeffersonville. Bryant played 3 years for the guy clapping in the back there in Mike Broughton. Was named first team All-State by the Bloomington Herald-Times and All-Conference, All-Sectional, All-Regional. Played at the University of Louisville, playing both in the NIT and the NCAA, and I had the pleasure of calling several of his son's games. A heck of a player as well at Silver Creek. These days, a basketball trainer at Northern Elite Training in Jeffersonville, Bryant Northern. Next up is Andre L. Owens, Perry Meridian High School. Andre scored 1,200 points as a Falcon, was an Indiana All-Star. 2-time first-team All-Conference, team MVP, and team captain. Played 1 year at Indiana, 3 years at Houston, scored over 1,500 points in college. Played in the NBA for his hometown Pacers, plus the Utah Jazz. Played in places like Serbia, Turkey, Austria, and China. And if he said his knee holds up in the City League this summer in downtown Indianapolis. These days, owner of Owens Towing and Real Estate in Indy, Andre Owens. Next up, Austin Parkinson, Northwestern High School. Austin scored just shy of 1,700 career points, averaged 17 points a game. All area, all conference, conference player of the year, all sectional, team MVP. His 4-year career at Purdue included being the Big Ten leader in assist to turnover ratio for 3 years. Playing the point guard at Purdue was kind of the family business. He has spent time as the IUPUI men's assistant coach, women's head coach, has over 224 collegiate wins, twice led then IUPUI to the NCAA tournament, and these days the head coach of the Butler University women's team. And he would like to remind you, tickets are available for the women's NIT round of 32 game, Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Austin Parkinson, you're welcome. Next up, Shane Power, Andrean High School. Shane was an Indiana All-Star, first team All-State, Trester Award winner, 3A runners-up his senior year. Finished with 2,110 career points, averaged 22 points a game over a 4-year career. Played at both Iowa State, Mississippi State, had over 1,200 career points in college. Played professionally in Italy for 3 years. These days, the managing director of STS Capital Partners in Queen City, Arizona. That explains that wonderful tan you got going there, buddy. Shane Power. Next up, Zach Randolph, Marion High School. Already heard one person say Zebo. Absolutely. Indiana All-Star, MVP of the McDonald's All-American game. First team All-USA today, first team Parade Magazine All-American. Scored 1,600 points, led his team to the 4A championship, held the school records for career rebounds and season rebounds. MVP of the Hall of Fame Classic, despite John Standiford's best efforts to guard him from Monrovia. John did the best he could. Zach scored nearly 19,000 points in 17 years in the NBA, where he averaged 17 points and 9 rebounds a game. These days, he is an ambassador for the Memphis Grizzlies and has his own record label in Memphis as well. Zach could not be here tonight, but once again, let's recognize Zach Randolph. Next up, Corey Seegers, Columbus North High School. Corey shot 59% from the floor in his time as a Bulldog. First team All-Conference twice, 2-time team MVP. Spent 1 year at Morehead State, 3 years at St. Joseph's College. Scored nearly 1,400 career points. These days, Solutions Project Manager at Endress Hauser USA in Greenwood, Corey Seegers. And finally, the aforementioned John Standiford, Monrovia High School. And a lot of you right now are saying, John Standiford from the Colts? Yes, John Standiford from the Colts. As a basketball player, scored 1,899 points at Monrovia, was an Indiana All-Star, is still the all-time leading scorer, as is the leader in career steals, season points, and season rebounds. He also holds the school record in the 100, 200, and long jump in track and field. 266 career receptions at Purdue. Holds the Purdue and Big Ten record for receiving yards. And owner of 1 Super Bowl ring. John is the director of sales for Onward Technologies. And John, if you knew him, would never tell you any of those things about himself. John Standiford. And as you can see, Rick's part of the show is done. We have one more honoree that could not be here tonight. That is Aaron Thomas of Northridge High School. Aaron was an Indiana All-Star, 3-time Conference Player of the Year, 3-time All-Sectional. Led his team to 3 sectional championships, scored over 1,200 career points, and went on to play at Robert Morris, where he scored over 1,200 career points there as well. Got his master's degree in education from Robert Morris. Got his doctorate from the University of Pittsburgh. He is currently a school superintendent in Pennsylvania. Could not be here tonight, but let's recognize Aaron Thomas. How about one more hand for our silver anniversary team members? And now to our Hall of Famers. We start with our centennial honoree, the late D. Earl Swede Chambers, Smithville High School. Graduated in 1920, won 540 games, 5 sectionals, 1 regional, and a state final berth. Coached 36 seasons at 7 schools: Smithville, Crothersville, Brownstown, Center Grove, which was a lot closer to the size of Shoals, Paoli, and Medora back when he coached at Center Grove. The gym at Paoli is named after him, Swede D. Earl Chambers. Representing the family and accepting the induction plaque on his behalf is his great-granddaughter, Ashley Kane. Congratulations, Swede Chambers. Our next 5 honorees are no longer with us, but certainly, clearly deserve induction into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. This first name that we mentioned was with the Frankfurt Championship team 100 years ago, the late Wilbur Cummins. State champs in 25, runners-up in 24. Coached by the legendary Everett Case, totaled 1,140 points during high school. Played at Purdue for Piggy Lambert, first team All-Big Ten in 1927. Coached at Brook, Elwood, Mooresville, Gas City, and Frankfurt, winning 7 sectionals and 2 regionals. Ladies and gentlemen, Wilbur Cummins. Next, the late Dan Howe, Fort Wayne Southside High School. 4-year varsity player, winning the city championship 3 times, 3 sectionals, 3 regionals, and the 1958 state championship. Won 13 letters in football, basketball, track, and golf. Member of the state champion half-mile relay team and was the state champion in high hurdles. Served 6 years on the IHSA Executive Committee and Board of Directors. Dan Howe. Representing the family and accepting the induction plaque on his behalf is his son, Daniel. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Howe.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for coming back here. Thank you. Congratulations.
The next couple of honorees, well, you'll hear the similarities. The late Floyd Kerr, South Bend, Washington High School. Three-year player, along with his twin brother, our next honoree, Lloyd, led them to the 1965 semi-state final. Averaged 11.5 points a game as a junior, 17 points as a senior. The twins went to Colorado State. Floyd averaged 14 and 7. Coached in New Jersey, won a state title in 1973. Was an assistant coach at Colorado State, Colorado, Appalachian State, Chicago State, Western Michigan, Akron, Youngstown State, and was the athletic director at Morgan State in Maryland from 2005 through 2016. Accepting on his behalf is his widow, Vivian. Ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Kerr. As promised, our next honoree, the late Lloyd Kerr. I think you know where he went to high school and college by now. He averaged 16 points and 5 rebounds a game. He was drafted by both the NBA's Phoenix Suns and the ABA's Oakland Oaks. He played 2 years in Belgium as well as played for the Harlem Magicians, Lloyd Kerr. Representing his family and accepting the plaque in behalf of him is his widow, Maggie. Ladies and gentlemen, Lloyd Kerr. Next up, Jake Weber, Plainfield High School. We literally did seat them in Plainfield all the way over there. Graduated in 1937, Jake totaled 1,384 points. The Quakers won the sectional title all 4 years. Jake played football, baseball, track, held the shot put record for 40 years, excelled in basketball and track at Purdue, held the shot put record at Purdue for 39 years. But this is a stat that will blow your mind. Del Harris, where are you? Give me a wave, Del, wherever you are sitting tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, legendary Plainfield Quaker, longtime NBA head coach, Del Harris, everybody. Del had this stat at the tip of his tongue, and it's in my notes. In 1946, Jake Weber was the starting center for the New York Knicks. In 1946 is when the NBA started. The first game was played in Toronto. It was played by the Knicks. He won the opening tap. Literally the first person to touch a ball in the history of the NBA is the person we are inducting right now, Jake Weber. Representing the family and accepting the induction plaque on his behalf is his daughter, Kathy Weber Runnels. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Weber. You guys ready for some speeches? Tired of hearing me? I get that a lot. The recipient of this year's Indiana Pacers Silver Medal Award, which includes Hall of Fame induction, is Greg Humnicki. Greg is a 1964 graduate of South Bend Central. Served as the athletic director from South Bend Clay from 1988 through 2008. Has served as the secretary of the Northern Indiana Conference from 1994 until this day. Served on the Hall of Fame Board of Directors from 2011 through 2018, and currently serves as a director emeritus. Prior to becoming an athletic director at Clay, Humnicki was a teacher and assistant boys basketball coach in the South Bend area. The recipient of this year's Indiana Pacers Silver Medal Award, Greg Humnicki.
Good evening. Again, I first would like to offer my congratulations to all of the other Hall of Fame inductees that will be introduced a little bit later here, and also to the Silver Anniversary Team honorees as well. A little short story here. I still remember the South Bend Washington Kerr brothers as I watched them from the South Bend Central bench, because I warmed the bench, when they played as freshmen on the JV squad at Washington High School. So that's a special memory for me for those two guys being inducted this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame Silver Medal Selection Committee for this award and the Indiana Pacers for their sponsorship. Truly humbled and honored to have been selected for this prestigious honor. My journey through the 60 years of the South Bend schools would not be complete if I didn't mention some of those folks who have been instrumental in my career as a player, teacher, basketball coach, administrator, husband, along the way. And again, I've served on the board of directors of the Hall of Fame, and I'm much appreciative of being involved.
First of all, I'd like to thank my late wife and partner of the past 50 years, Barbara, who's watching us from above as she left us 5 years ago. She was the mother of our 2 children, Philip and Anna, both South Bend Clay graduates, as Anna was here this evening from Atlanta, Georgia. Anna, would you stand real quick or wave? Thank you. She graduated from Ball State and actually worked for the Atlanta Hawks front office for a number of years before she went to law school. Also a special shout out to a very close friend of mine for the past 4 years, Judy Gray. Judy? I owe a great deal to the late Jim Powers as he nominated me several years ago for this award prior to his passing. Jim got me more involved as I was the driver to all the meetings from South Bend, which was a good 3-hour trip each time. We did that 3 or 4 times a year. I also owe a great deal to the late Bob King, who at Purdue hired me to help run their summer camps from the 1970s, from 73 to about 88. Also thanks to Roger Dickinson, the former Hall of Fame director, who got me involved with the Hall 25 years ago, as I got involved with the organization of the 50-year reunions of the South Bend Central State Championship teams in South Bend in 2003 and 2007, with their championships in 53 and 57, since the high school was closed, the high school in South Bend in 1970. That was a great activity for us to let the community celebrate those folks and that team, those two teams. Also thanks to Chris May and Matt Martin, as they've led this great organization as one of the premier high school basketball halls of fame and museums in the country. Serving on the Silver Anniversary Team Committee for the past several years has allowed me to remain involved in the game of basketball by recognizing players from 25 years ago. In fact, some of these gentlemen, you know, I made some contacts on the telephone, and very glad that they allowed this to happen and came this evening. Also, I had the opportunity to coach Indiana Mr. Basketball. David Magley, South Bend LaSalle, 1978, when he was a freshman at Central Middle School in South Bend before his great career under George Griffith at South Bend LaSalle. I had the opportunity to work with a lot of great coaches in South Bend. George Leonakis and George Griffith at South Bend LaSalle, Dave Hadaway at John Adams, Tom Hess, Tom DeBates at Clay. I will treasure those friendships forever. As the athletic director at Clay for 20 years, the one great highlight was working with Tom DeBates as he led the Colonials to the 94 state championship in that exciting game where we hit a 3 at the buzzer, and I'm sure, I think I saw Coach Punter here earlier this evening. I'm sure he probably doesn't want to remember that, but it was a great for the city of South Bend. And as the athletic director, I thoroughly enjoyed helping him, Tom DeBates, achieve that goal as I worked as the school's athletic director, planning the trips and all the additional things that had to be done. Again, thank you for this prestigious honor, and everybody have a great evening. Thank you. I guess I better leave that up there.
Speaking of that 1994 state championship game, the next honoree that we're going to recognize that, again, has a very good excuse for not being here is Bryce Drew from Valparaiso High School. As a senior, Bryce was the Gatorade Player of the Year, was Indiana Mr. Basketball, won the Trester Mental Attitude Award. Valpo was the state runner-up that season. He would go on to play for his father, Homer, at Valparaiso, winning the Mid-Continent Conference Championship all 4 years. And literally, if you look on the screen around you now, you see one of the most famous shots in the history of NCAA tournament basketball. The shot. The play was called Pacer. Sykes and one of the Jenkinses was involved in that play as well. They went on to beat Florida State in the next game. That shot was against Ole Miss. They would make the Sweet 16 that year, losing to Stanford. Bryce would score 1,577 points in high school, would actually score more in college, over 2,100. 6-year career in the NBA, has spent time coaching at Valparaiso, Vanderbilt, and has led Grand Canyon to the NCAA tournament, which is why he's not here. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Drew. Next up, Matthew Graves, White River Valley High School. Matt scored over 1,800 points during his 4-year career. Went 70-8 at Butler. Scored just shy of 1,000 points. Only played 6 games during his sophomore year. Quickly became an assistant coach at North Central when they won the state title in '99. Spent 10 years on the staff at Butler. Has been a head coach at South Alabama and just completed his first year as the head coach at Indiana State. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Graves.
Okay, I was told it's 3-minute time limit, so here we go. I am very honored and humbled to be standing here with my fellow inductees as a member of the 2025 Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the committee for this incredible recognition. It really caught me by surprise when I received the initial phone call from my high school coach, Dave Clark, as this wasn't even on my radar. But this is really a dream come true. For me, the game of basketball is about relationships, connections, and experiences made along the way. Amongst this group of inductees, I have played and coached against Bryce Drew, was a high school player versus Coach Moore's really good Sullivan teams. Coach Shannon, Coach Heklinski, Coach McCullough, I've been in their gyms and recruited players when I was an assistant at Butler University, and even played a little noontime basketball with Scott Hicks when we overlapped at Butler. He was still pretty good back then. In an attempt to do the impossible, as my shot clock to speak, am I okay saying shot clock around here? I know that can be a little sensitive, but as my shot clock is winding down, I'm going to try and recognize and thank as many people as possible who have helped to support a small town kid from Swit City, Indiana, be able to make a high school championship run as a player, play college basketball at the Division I level, play in 2 NCAA tournaments, be a part of a high school state championship team as a coach, coach in numerous NCAA tournament games, including 2 national championships, and finishing up year 6 as a D1 head coach. I am truly blessed by a lot of people along the way. Firstly, I'd like to thank all my teammates, both in high school and college. The blood, sweat, and tears will forever link us in the beauty of being in a team sport that teaches all so many valuable lessons of life. Secondly, all of my coaches along the way, elementary, junior high, high school, college, in all the sports that I participated. Thank you for shaping and molding me into the person I am to this day. A special mention to a few. Dave Clark, bet you didn't think a little 6th grader would turn out this good. Thank you for coaching me hard, challenging me to be the best. Barry Collier, offering me a scholarship to Butler University. Doug Mitchell, offering me my first job. I love sitting down in first period prep talking. It was life-changing. Steve Whitty, master class in how to organize basketball. It was tremendous. Todd Licklider hired me at Butler University to start my journey in college. And then Brad Stevens, who's been a great friend and really taught me about how to empower others to be my best. Finally, and most importantly, to my family. My parents, Rick and Melanie, who made countless sacrifices to provide their son with every opportunity to be successful. Thank you for pushing me, encouraging me, and holding me accountable to be the best I could be. Thank you. To my wife of 26 years, Susan, and my 2 daughters, Abby and Lily, I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am for allowing me to be in this profession through all the ups and downs, stress of moving homes, schools, living apart for a short time. I love you all so much and dedicate this honor to all of you. Thank you again to everyone that made this night possible for me. I will cherish it forever. Thank you.
Good job, buddy. I'll add a couple of things. First of all, you notice that most of the tuxedos up here are black. When you're Matthew and you played at White River Valley and Butler and you're the coach at Indiana State, you're not going away from blue. You're rocking the blue at every opportunity. And when talking about coaches, we will often say, you know, that guy is like the nicest guy in the world. Well, for half those people, we're lying. That is not the case for Matthew. He is literally one of the nicest people that you will ever meet. And, buddy, you know I'm rooting for you. Congratulations, and good luck at Indiana State. I'd like to point out my record was 2-0 in calling your games this year, so please bring that up in negotiations for next year. Next up, Ron Heklinski, South Bend St. Joseph High School. Played for Bob Donewald in high school. Played in Manchester College, made it to the NAI championship game. Coached at Knox, Richmond, Wapahani, Jasper, Edgewood, Anderson, Cecina, and Mishawaka High School. Also spent time as a collegiate assistant coach at Illinois State and Ball State. 21 of his former assistant coaches have become head coaches. 38 of his former players have gone into teaching, and 11 of his former players have become head coaches. And with Heck, that only tells half the tale. Ron Heklinski.
Yeah, well, I never got the 3-minute message, to be honest with you. And it is so cool to see Mark Baltz here tonight. Mark Baltz is a great official, a great NFL official also. The one thing I got to say is, I told Mark 20 years ago he needed glasses, and I'm so happy you finally got them, man. This honor is really cool for me, and the first thing I want to do is thank God for putting me in this position to be able to work with young student athletes through the great game of basketball. Like everybody else, I want to congratulate my fellow inductees. I mean, what an amazing class. I mean, wonderful players, coaches, administrators with Greg, and especially Dave McCullough. Dave McCullough and I went to Manchester College. We began our career at Richmond High School together, lived together for a while, and Dave's just a great coach. Jimmy Shannon and Troy Lewis are great Anderson Indians. Leroy Johnson is a Mishawaka icon. And then we've already talked about the late, great Floyd and Lloyd Kerr. When I was 8 years old, in South Bend, Floyd and Lloyd Kerr were my heroes. I mean, I would go to the playgrounds and I would emulate Lloyd and Floyd. And then to think 60 years later that I'm going into the Hall of Fame, this really cool deal, and I'm going in with Lloyd and Floyd Kerr. It's amazing to me, and I thank God for the selection committee to say, hey, you know, we voted you in. I want to thank Wayne Barker, one of my ex-players, and Dean Huppert, one of my ex-athletic directors, who, by the way, is a great athletic director, for nominating me into this great position of being into the Hall of Fame. My family. I mean, my family is everything to me. I mean, much like everybody else, I mean, my family is why I am who I am. My wonderful wife, Monica, I mean, just gave me a lot of support when I was coaching. She's really helped me to grow my Catholic faith now. My 3 kids, Stephanie, Jack, and Aaron, they're amazing. I always knew Stephanie would be a great businesswoman. She ran my concession stands at Anderson High School for my summer camps. And I mean, I'd walk by, I'd say, you know, I'm going to get a box of Mike and Ike's. And she would chase me down and say, Dad, you got to pay $1 for this. I said, I own the camp. She said, no, you got to pay. And I always know she'd be really cool. And as a businesswoman, my 2 kids, Jack and Aaron, they were brought up at the Wigwam. Jack and Aaron would come in and sit in the office and do their homework. And then Jack would shoot maybe 300 J's on the side while we were practicing. And Aaron would always explore the Wigwam in XX, YY, and come home and say, Dad, I found this little room in the Wigwam. And I mean, my guys have grown up to be wonderful young men. My 2 brothers are here tonight. My brother Mike and his wife Nancy from Fort Myers, Florida. Mike is in the Football Hall of Fame. my brother Don and his wife Donna from Birmingham, Alabama. Don was a great, great high school baseball player, ended up being a college baseball coach, and my blueprint was there. All I had to do was watch them and see how they did it, see how they practiced, see how they coached, and I couldn't help but have a chance to be successful. My nephew Joey is in the long line of the Hecklinski tradition. He's the head football coach at Goshen College. And my little sister's here. My little sister from Tennessee, Scott, or Mary Ellen and Scott Mantooth. My little sister, I mean, she had to go and watch all of us play. She did it. She never complained. She was amazing. Along with my daughter is her husband here tonight, Brad, and they have a little grandbaby, Baker, who's absolutely amazing. I have 4 people: my brother Booty, my sister Claudia, my mom, and my dad. They actually have the best seat in the house tonight. They're watching from the balcony. And I know that they would be really, really happy, and they would be really pleased because they loved when family got together and families together tonight. I'd like to thank my coaches that I had growing up. And first of all, my dad was my first coach. He was my junior high coach at St. John the Baptist. And he and his twin brother were Hall of Famers at South Bend, Washington. And we're great, great basketball players. And as a 7th grader, I started on the team. And this one's for you, Paul Condry. I started on the team. I wasn't great. Before every game, my mom would say, "Hey, Ronnie, when they throw you the ball, try not to fall down, okay?" I said, "Mom, that is a great confidence booster, man. I will try not to fall down." But I noticed everybody on the team had white high-top Chucky Taylors. I mean, everybody. I had white high-top Kmart tennis shoes. Now, it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with money because my father was a dentist. And I asked my dad one time. I said, "Dad," I said, "can you give me a pair of white high-top Chucky Taylors?" And he said, "Ronnie," he said, "I don't mean any disrespect to Kmart, but right now in your life, you got a Kmart game." I'm saying, "What? I got a Kmart game?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You don't play hard. You don't practice hard. And the only reason I'm playing you is because you can run a little." I said, "Dad," and he said, "Here's the deal." He said, "You start practicing harder and you start playing harder and you get a work ethic and I'll get you some Chucky Taylors." And within about 10 days, I did and he did. And what a lesson on how to work and how to develop a work ethic. Bob Donewald was my high school coach at South Bend St. Joe, and he was amazing. He taught me how to play the game. And I was really, really fortunate because I got to go to Illinois State and be an assistant coach for Bob Donewald. And at Illinois State, he taught me how to coach the game. He was an amazing coach. My first year at Manchester College, I played for a brother and minister, Claude Wolf. Now I'm a West Side kid from South Bend, and I'm playing for a brother and minister. He would never use bad language. He would never throw a ball at me or anything like that. And he would say, "Take Ronnie to the side and run him." And the assistant coach would run me. And one day after practice, I said, "Coach, listen, man, I'm from the West Side. I'm tough. You can cuss at me. You can throw a ball at me, but I don't know if you think God thinks it's cool for you to run me all practice." And he just kind of laughed. But he was a great, great college basketball coach. I want to thank the administrators that I've had at all the schools that I worked for. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy being an administrator for me because when I came in, my goal was to build a program. And my goal was to have all of those players get after it and work hard, and I wanted my guys to have the best. And the administrators and we didn't get along all the time, but we always supported each other outside of that meeting room. One of my administrators was a kid that played for me at Mishawaka. Mishawaka allowed me to come home, by the way. I got the head coaching job at Mishawaka. I'm from South Bend. I'd been out of South Bend for 40 years,
and I got a chance to come home to help my little brother pass away, and to be with my mom for about 3 more years. But my superintendent my second year at Mishawaka was an ex-player named Wayne Barker. And so Wayne gets the job. And I'm saying, this is amazing. I'm going to get whatever I want now because Wayne is my guy. So I'm standing with Wayne on the court, and I said, Wayne, come here, man. I said, I want the Basil Malby teaching schedule. I said, I want to teach one class, and I want the other 3 off, and I want to work on basketball. And Wayne said, Coach, man, I can't do that. He said, if I did that for you, I'd have to do that for everybody. And for about a 10-second period in my mind, I thought, that's the wrong answer, Wayne. Get on the line and give me 3 suicides, man. And obviously Wayne was a pro, and obviously he couldn't do that. My assistant coaches, they already told you the numbers. 21 assistant coaches got head coaching jobs, and they were the absolute best. Matt Graves and I were just talking about this. How when you have assistant coaches, you want assistant coaches to be convicted in what they tell you to do. And you want them, not just to be able to come in and say, we need to go to a 1-3-1. Why do you need to go to a 1-3-1? I want to see your conviction. And that led them to be outstanding coaches, and they all went on to become head coaches. And my managers were amazing, but we all know why I'm standing here tonight. I'm standing here tonight because of my players. I love my players. They were absolutely amazing. In every one of my stops, there was one central theme. And the central theme was I wanted my guys to be intense. I would put the word intensity up in every locker room. And I wanted them to play hard, and I wanted them to have passion, and I wanted them to represent their school in the highest fashion. And I can honestly say that for the 30 years I was a head coach, that those guys did that. I love my players. I love my players so much, and I thank them so much. And I know that is the reason that I'm here. 29 years ago, I had a liver transplant, a life-saving liver transplant. And I always end my speeches by saying, you got to sign up and be an organ donor. We have people dying every day on the transplant list. Every day, and we don't have enough donors. So make sure you tell your families. Make sure you tell your families that you want to be an organ donor. And remember, don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here. Thank you very much.
I was going to give Heck, trouble for going long. When he ends with that, I can't give him any grief for anything like that. And since you brought this up, I know a lot of folks in the room know Cliff Hawkins. You may know that he has been on a waiting list for a kidney transplant. That's going to happen in April, just in case you wanted to know that. So, also in stunning news, Ron's retirement job as a talk show host. I know none of you saw that coming. Our next honoree, Scott Hicks, Cathedral High School. Scott led the Irish to their first city tourney championship, was the Metro Player of the Year, was the captain of the Notre Dame men's basketball team, head coach at Cathedral, 7 years, 8 years head coach at Broad Ripple, 7-time city tournament champion as a coach. He is the only person that has won the city tourney and the Hall of Fame Classic as a player and a coach. These days, he's director of athletics at George Washington High School. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Hicks.
Troy just said 3 minutes. I did get the memo, so. First, I want to thank Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame Committee for this amazing honor and recognition. I want to say special thanks to Ralph Taylor, Mr. Wayne Pack, and Dave Worland for your support and responsible for this nomination. To my fellow inductees, congratulations. It's an honor I share this special moment with you and your family. I am truly humbled of being inducted to the Hall of Fame, and to have my name alongside so many legends is truly surreal. My basketball journey and love for the game began when I was about 7 years old on the west side of Indianapolis in my cousin's dusty backyard. We called it the Dust Bowl. Picture 2 scrawny kids playing countless hours and completing like it was Game 7 of the finals. This is where all the dreams started. I never imagined that it would take me to the Hall of Fame. And what makes this moment even more special is that my cousin, the one I battled on the Dust Bowl, was inducted 3 years ago, John Sherman Williams. I think Sherm is here. Could you stand up for me, Sherm? There he is, John Sherman. Basketball has given me more than wins and accolades. It has shaped my character, built my lifelong friendships, and given me an opportunity to give back. This achievement isn't mine alone, and it belongs to so many people who's helped guide, support, and inspire me. There are so many people to share in this honor, starting with my late parents. Daisy and Scott, thank you. You laid the foundation for faith, humility, and resilience. And I know you're smiling from above. To my Hall of Fame family, who are my biggest cheerleaders, your support means everything to me. To my wife, Kim, who I met my freshman year at Cathedral High School. We were both freshmen. Pictures in the yearbook was right next to each other, and 30 years later, she's been the rock of our family. She has been so supportive. I truly love her, and thank you for your support. My 4 boys, Jordan, Scotty, Cameron, and Ethan. Call them the Hicks boys. These guys are my greatest blessing, and watching them grow every day, I am so proud. This is my greatest reward. My teammates, Cathedral teammates, brotherhood I will cherish forever. We built something special and left a championship legacy. Cathedral is doing great things now. I want to also acknowledge 4 players who pushed me beyond my limits. Of course, John Sherman Williams, Thomas Lyles, his son was Mr. Basketball, Trey Lyles, who plays in the NBA now, the late, great Jerome Brewer, who I played at Indiana All-Star, and Ken Barlow, who was also a Hall of Fame. He was my teammate, my roommate in college, and these guys taught me how to truly compete, play hard, and be disciplined. To my assistant coaches, trainers, and everyone that's behind the scenes, I cannot thank you enough. You are the glue that held everything together. To my former players, a lot of them was here. I don't know if they're still here, but thank you for the privilege of allowing me to coach you. Many have gone on to run very successful programs. Just this past year, Stephen Thomas, you still here? Okay, he snuck out on me. Stephen Thomas was the head girls basketball coach at Lawrence Central, and they just won the state championship. And Bobby Allen from Guerin, he was in the state finals last year, so I'm very proud of these guys. To the coaches who coached me, thank you for pushing and challenging me, not just a player, but as a man. You taught me life lessons through basketball. And I just want to highlight one of the late Tom Red Taylor, my AAU coach, who did a tremendous job. I coached with him, I played for him. Coach O.B., who was my high school coach, and also Digger Phelps, who gave me an opportunity to play at the University of Notre Dame. Finally, I want to thank my Continental family, my George Washington family, and if they're here, I want to wish my boss, Dr. Law, a happy birthday today. My Cathedral and Notre Dame family, your support means the world to me.
I am forever grateful for this game in this state, to be with people who have been a part of this amazing journey. And above all, I thank the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who continues to bless me. Thank you very much.
Some people are forever young at heart. I always have to, because I just want to say Scotty every time I talk to him. Not just Scott, Scotty Hicks. Next up, Irv Iniger, Byrne High School. In his 3 varsity seasons, Byrne won 3 sectionals, 2 regionals, 1 semi-state. Captain of the IU team that won the Big Ten championship as a senior. Played 1 year for the Minnesota Muskies. Began coaching at Golden Valley Lutheran College in Minnesota. After 5 years at Augsburg College, became the all-time winningest head coach at North Dakota State. And to Irv, to preview that I have spent time in Fargo, the Bison. You got to say it with a Z and not an S. He also served as North Dakota State's Associate Athletic Director for Development and External Relations. Ladies and gentlemen, Irv Iniger.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I want to thank the committee for this great honor, and it is a great honor. I want to also thank those that nominated me, and there's several out here that did nominate me, and I really appreciate that too. And I also want to congratulate all the honorees here tonight. It is such a fantastic day, and it's a great tribute to all of you, and I'm so glad to be a part of this. I moved to Fargo 47 years ago, and I was the head basketball coach at North Dakota State University. And I had 2 small boys. I told my wife very early, go find the house that she would like, but I wanted an all double-lane cement driveway. I had 2 young boys that were in kindergarten. And I wanted them to play basketball. In fact, I wanted them to eat. They had to play basketball. There was no choice for them. I found the perfect basket, and I put it out this height, because I didn't want them to throw the ball up. I wanted my boys to learn the fundamentals the right way. I wanted them to play hard. I wanted them to work hard to beat Dad, because I told them at that time, I said, I'm never allowed you going to beat me. You're going to have to work at it. So I put the basket at this height. They worked really hard at it. You know, I was a smart dad. Every time they got a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, I'd move the basket up 6, 7 inches. And they got a little bit stronger and a little bit bigger. We always played to 10, win by 1. And after about their junior high level, they started beating on Dad pretty hard. I thought they were my own sons, but they really liked beating on me. So I said, after the 3rd foul, you got to shoot a free throw. Well, one of my sons now is a senior in high school. He says, come on, Dad, let's go. I moved the basket up to full height. We went at it, and I mean, it was a barn burner. It went 1-1, it went 2-2, it went all the way up to 9-9, but I had the ball. And I thought, I can't make an outside shot right now, and I'm too tired, I'm too old. So I did what most of you would have done. I took the ball right to the basket, and my son laid me out on the concrete like you can't believe. And my knees are bleeding, and I'm telling you, I'm hurting. And I'm out of breath, but he's over the limit. So I take the basketball, and I go about right here, and I stopped. I looked at my son. I said, I got a question I want to ask you right now. I said, are you rooting for me? I said, do you want me to make this basket? My son taught me a valuable lesson I learned many years ago. He says, Dad, I'm always rooting for you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why I'm here tonight, because I've had so many people in my life root for me. And they're here tonight. And I can't thank them enough. My hometown of Byrne, in fact, the mayor's here tonight, and I'm really proud of that. But Byrne has been a major factor in my life. Started everything for me. And then there was my teammates, and there are many of them here tonight. You can't be up here without great teammates. In fact, some of them that passed the ball told me they passed the ball to me too much. But I also said that you really have, and I'm so fortunate tonight to have classmates here that are strong friends of mine. In fact, one of the cheerleaders is here tonight as well. I mean, I just got great friends that are unbelievable. I think if there's anything that I wish tonight, I wish my parents could have been here to see this night. It would have been a real blessing for me. It would have. And I really want to thank those that are here tonight, my sister Candy, my brother Ron, and my brother Rick, who really pushed me to be the athlete that I was, and their families are here tonight. I also want to thank a couple gentlemen that flew my family down here tonight from Fargo, North Dakota. It was amazing that they would take the time and pay their way down here so they could be with me here tonight. And I want to thank them and the people that they made possible tonight. But I also want to thank my sons, my Bart and his wife Pam, my son Brett and his wife Holly, and two of my grandsons tonight, Tate and Grant. My other three grandsons couldn't make it tonight, Michael, Benjamin, and Dylan. But the one I want to thank the most is the most important person in my family, and that's my wife. She's an amazing woman. We've had a walk of faith together. We've been married almost 57 years, and she has been a blessing to me, and I wouldn't be here tonight without her as well. She is my Hall of Famer. And I go back to Bern again just for a second and think a couple things that happened. One, I can thank Bern for the athletic prowess that I had there. They started my athletic career as a strong foundation. But the thing that gave me most was my faith. Standing up for what you believe in. And that has been the solid thing for my life. Proverbs 3:1-6 goes like this. My son, never forget the things I've taught you if you want a long and satisfying life. Closely follow my instructions and never forget to be truthful and kind. Hold these virtues tightly, write them deep within your heart. If you want favor with both God and man and a reputation for good judgment and common sense, then don't ever trust yourself. In everything you do, put God first, and He will direct you and crown your efforts with success. Ladies and gentlemen, as I look around this room, He has crowned our efforts with success. And my team that's here tonight all played some little part in that success I've had. And I'd like to have all those people stand up right now, and I want to thank them and thank you again, committee.
By the way, if you couldn't tell, Irv did that with 0 notes. Not just the scripture memorization, but everything. Job well done, Irv. Next up, representing Mishawaka High School, Leroy Ronald Johnson. Leroy finished his career second on the St. Joseph County all-time scoring list behind the great Don Schlunt. Had 1,556 career points. Was the state champ in the high jump with a leap of just shy of 6 foot 8 inches. Played 3 years at IU, finished second in the Big Ten in the high jump. Played overseas in Spain and France for 10 years. While in France, obtained his doctorate in history from the Sorbonne. I think that's the first time that's been referenced in a Hall of Fame induction speech, by the way. Got his master's from the Sorbonne, got his doctorate from the University of Michigan. Taught African American and African studies in Paris, Michigan State, Florida, Michigan, Nigeria, Towson State, Boston, Baltimore City College, and Minnesota State University Moorhead, right across the street from Irv Vinegar. Ladies and gentlemen, Leroy Johnson.
There was a time I could move much faster. Thank you. Well, first I'd like to express my gratitude to the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this honor, as well as to congratulate my fellow inductees on their selection to the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. And then secondly, although it's been 75 years or more since I discovered basketball at Mary Phillips Elementary School, I would like to say I still remember when and why I began to play basketball. this marvelous game that would change my life, afford me the opportunity to, a kid who grew up in an orphanage in Mishawaka, to go to school, go to university. And of course, at that time, in 1950, I had no idea that playing this marvelous game in the state of Indiana would have such an enormous impact on my life. Of course, in the early 50s, I was a lonely, confused, and angry young adolescent living far from my family here in Indianapolis. And of course, I began to use basketball as a sort of a means of therapy. And that was, in fact, I started to play basketball because some of my friends, fifth grade friends, started to play, so I decided to join them. And that's really how I started to play this game. But basketball, practice, games, and the mental adjustment to a team sport soon began to occupy my thoughts, blocking out the painful memories of the separation from my family. Basketball, without me knowing it, as I said before, became a form of therapy. And during my elementary years and junior high school years, I ran into people, coaches and teachers, who helped me make an adjustment to Mishawaka, which was not an easy adjustment at that time. But I was fortunate enough to have coaches such as John Longfellow, who was my high school coach, and my elementary coach, John Farley, from whom I learned a great deal about life and who taught me the fundamentals of basketball and who taught me things about actually there are consequences for behavior, for a certain type of behavior. And these factors, I should say, I'm very happy that I ran into these people because they were teachers and coaches who played a very, very important role in my life. And although they're not here with us, I would like to thank them. I appreciate their help very much. I would also like to mention some of my teammates with whom I played, especially George Hickson-Ball, Pat Ganser, Bruce Yakey, and Gene Witkowski. They were my teammates on the 1954-55 Mishawaka High School basketball team, which was a pretty good team. And they were unselfish people, and I learned a great deal, learned how to get along with others with them, and they helped me gain confidence in myself, particularly at times when I didn't really have the confidence. And so I'd like to mention them because although they're not here, I shall always remember them. Because they always had our back. Then there's my family, seated out over there. My family members and friends in Indiana and in France, to whom I owe very much. I want to thank my oldest son, Sean, who took a few days off from his corporate job in France and flew from Paris to be with us. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for coming and for taking a few days off to be with us. And then Stephen from Seattle University, my second son, who was the assistant athletic director. He and his partner, Alcina, they took time off to fly from Seattle to be with us today. Thank the two of you. And Sydney, my youngest, who spends time with the Washington Mystics as their head basketball coach. I'm very happy that he brought my two clever and curious granddaughters here to be with us, because I'm quite sure they'd rather be home with their friends. And then there is Monique Ellison, Reverend Monique Ellison, who's Canon Victor of Christ Cathedral Church here in Indianapolis, a friend whom I met in Baltimore while she was doing God's work there. And then I should also mention Sue Small, Dr. Sue Small, a person whom I've known for over 30 some odd years. Sue, I've known her since my youngest son was in middle school, and Sue's helped me rear my 3 rambunctious young sons who are now men. Thank you very much, Sue. Sue. Of course, I must also thank the French Federation of Basketball members who documented my career in France, the country in which I arrived, I must say, broken in spirit, but where I regained my emotional and psychological equilibrium, the country where I married, where I juggled my family life with university studies and basketball. I must also thank the good people of Mishawaka, who nearly 70 years after I graduated from high school supported my candidacy to this hallowed institution. Among my Mishawaka supporters, I'd like to acknowledge a special debt of gratitude to one person in particular. That's Mr. Peter DeKeever, who's curator of the Mishawaka Museum of History. Peter, a former teacher, but he carries on a curious intellectual, he inherited this intellectual curiosity. He's carried on a conversation with this city, with its history, with its culture, this dialogue, which has allowed him to investigate the past and to remember. And I'm quite sure that Peter understands what I mean. And then also I want to thank Mrs. DeKeever, his mother, who's here with him. Mrs. DeKeever, actually, Peter inherited a great deal of his curiosity about basketball and about life from his late father, and I wish to acknowledge that fact too. Thank you very much, Peter. Lastly, I want to thank the people of Indiana. Thank you all, because you continue to cherish Hoosier high school basketball. It's one of the state's finest traditions. You, the people of Indiana, have dedicated yourselves to the preservation of the memory of the high school boys and girls who play this marvelous game of basketball. And without your dedication, there would be no Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Seems very fitting on the year where we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the Cave, the home of Mishawaka High School basketball, that we have not one but 2 ties to Mishawaka being in the Hall of Fame. Guys, congratulations. And I know Dean Huppert's back there behind the camera. Job well done, Dean, by you and everything the folks in Mishawaka did to recognize. If you weren't aware, in January, Mishawaka and Brazil, which is now Northview High School, played a game because that was the first game that was played in that building back in 1925. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. And that is the extent of my ability to speak French right there. Je parle français très un peu. That's the end of it right there. With that, let's recognize now this side of the dais, shall we? Next up is Troy Lewis from Anderson High School. Troy averaged 35 points per game as a senior, was named Mr. Basketball in Indiana and a McDonald's All-American. Averaged 18 points per game in 4 years at Purdue, first team All-Big Ten as a junior and a senior. Served as an assistant coach in Centerville, Ohio, and the team won a state championship and were runners-up twice. Ladies and gentlemen, Troy Lewis.
I'll try to keep this at 3 minutes. Not sure. But man, I mean, Mr. Johnson, I don't know how I can follow that. I mean, what elegance. I mean, I'm just honored to be up here. I'd like to, congratulate the Silver Anniversary team and all the inductees. I mean, even Mrs. Sullivan here, you got a court named after you, and the only thing I did is been in court, so that's it's a pretty heck of an honor. Also, I want to thank my family for being here today. I mean, I couldn't be more blessed than to have grown up in Anderson, Indiana, and especially have the family that's always supported me. My sister Gina and her daughter and son, Morgan and Trey, my cousin Jason, Nicole's his wife, and his daughter Sis. Glad you came in. My running dogs over there, Al Payne, I call him Pacino, and Joey Wilson. We share a lot of good memories. Al used to rebound for me all the time, but I rarely missed though. But it was good. You were a good rebounder. I'd like to thank my stepmom for being here. She used to come to all my games, supported me all the time, no matter what. My two nieces, Kayla and Kristen. Really appreciate you coming in from North Carolina. My brother Scott, my other brother Rico, who's behind the camera. You think he's a doc filmmaker, but I don't know. My other brother Kendrick, my wonderful daughter Savannah, and my granddaughter Bray Bray. You okay over there? You hanging in there? Bobby got you. He got some Reese's cup for you when we get back to the hotel. Okay. All right, we got you here. Also want to thank, there's three people that are not here tonight. They have passed on. My grandfather, Julius Streety, my dad, Bobby Lewis, who scored the first 2 points in the wigwam, in the new wigwam, so I had a lot to live up to, especially my brothers too, and my mom, Julia Lewis. I also like to thank Coach Norm Hale, who isn't here as well. He gave me the opportunity to be a starter there for the Indians, and it kind of changed my whole life as a sophomore. Also, I want to thank Coach Gene Cady. After I left high school, he really taught me what it is to be a man, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm here today. I have to say, growing up in Anderson, if anybody knows, growing up in Anderson, especially in the 70s and 80s, it was a special time, especially for me. My mom took us three little kids, my brother Kendrick and Scotty. We went to the wigwam in 1972, I think, and I had his favorite player of all time. His name was Roy Taylor. He was Roy Taylor. So I'm 6 years old, and my mom takes us to the game, and we get to the wigwam. And if you've ever been to the wigwam, the first thing you go in there, you smell the popcorn. I mean, it was awesome. So we get up in Double A, and I'm sitting up there, and I'm going like, so we were sitting watching the game and looking at this guy's, Roy Taylor number was 43. So I'm going like, okay, man, this guy's out there 43. She's out there like, well, Mom, he ain't very good. I was like, what? I said, I'm in love with this guy, but he ain't very good. Little did I know I was watching the JV team. The varsity team haven't came out yet. But once the varsity team came out, I saw Roy play. I knew right then that I wanted to become an Anderson Indian. Me and my brothers, we really, after those games, we always used to run up the stairs, and you guys, we used to fold up these socks, right? We used to fold up these socks and put the hanger up on the door, and you guys did, and that's how we became basketball players. We thought we were Globetrotters. We thought we were NBA players. And I remember my grandfather used to get so mad at us because we ruined so many doors. Then he had the fortitude to end up paving a driveway and putting up a basketball goal. And I think that started my dream to become a state champion. And I always wanted to mimic Roy Taylor. But little did I know, my idols were sitting across the dinner table from me. Brother Kendrick. I couldn't ask for a better big brother. To watch him play in the wigwam, dropping numbers every night, showing me what it is to be a great person, to be an Indian. You know, I try to mimic other players, but you were the person that drove me. I knew I had to become as good as you. My brother Scott, you know, he gave the accolades of 35 points a game, but my brother Scott was a senior and I was a junior. He sacrificed a lot for me, passed me the ball all the time. He didn't have to do that. He can score. Played at DePaul, one of the all-time greats at DePaul. But he sacrificed his game so I can stand up today to get this honor. But this honor belongs to you guys. I really appreciate it. I know you guys don't get all the attention, but I'm not here without you. In closing, I just want to say, I know I didn't talk too much about my Purdue days, but it's all about being an Anderson Indian. I breathe being an Indian. Playing in the wigwam was my soul. Once an Indian, always Indian. Thank you.
I feel fortunate enough in my career I got to do at least one game in the wigwam on WXXP 97.9 FM. My color partner was Norm Held, and the head coach in that game was Ron Hecklinski of the Anderson Indians. Just the way things kind of worked out alphabetically, this is like the coach's wing of the Hall of Fame, our next three inductees. I think the win total between the next three inductees is 1,500 plus and probably more than that. And you simply know that when you're facing one of their teams, you might be in for a long night. First up, from LaVille High School, Dave McCullough. Dave played basketball, football, and baseball at LaVille. Went to Manchester College. Started coaching at a middle school. Won 5 sectionals at North Judson while coaching Kirk Mans. Won 3 sectionals in regional and 5 conference tourneys and the Hall of Fame Classic twice during his 20 years at Noblesville. Coach Tom Coverdale there as well. At Shenandoah, won 5 sectionals in a regional, another Hall of Fame Classic. These days, he is at Connorsville, and his career winning percentage is north of 70%. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave McCullough.
Greg, thank you. You make this look easy, and I'd much rather coach than do this. And Jimmy, we might as well go home because heck took all our minutes. This truly is a humbling and surreal experience for me. I'm fortunate that they don't include any of my playing days in this, or I would not be standing here. And so fortunately, it's the coaching tree, so it is a tremendous honor, and I'd like to congratulate the fellow inductees, the Silver Anniversary team, and I'm truly thankful for this honor. A few short years ago, 50 to be exact, I told my parents I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I was met with, quote, whoa, why would anyone want to coach? Why don't you get into pharmacy school and be a pharmacist? My response was, I can't imagine counting out pills for some old person on a Friday night. Now I am that old person. I've seen the list of inductees into the Hall of Fame and those hoping to get in. They are both long and distinguished lists. I am grateful to be included in this year's class, especially with my good friend Heck, my friend Jim Shannon, Bryce Drew, who was a 4-year pain in my backside while at North Judson St. Pierre High School, plus several of these silver anniversary team that I was fortunate to help coach when we totally dismantled Kentucky in 2000. I'd like to recognize and thank my lovely wife, Bren, for being our family's Hall of Famer the past 40-plus years in this journey. And my kids, Kelsey, her husband, Jake, Kirk, Kylie, and Caden. Yes, all Ks. You have been so supportive, loyal, and I appreciate it so much. I've had the pleasure and joy of coaching all 4 of you at some point, and what a joy it was, at least for me. I also want to thank Brent's family for all their love and support, most who are here tonight. To my 6 brothers and sisters, I appreciate your support over the years. I love you all. And even though I did not end up a pharmacist, I know my late parents, Clyde and Ann, were always 2 of my biggest supporters. To my mentors at Richmond and North Judson St. Pierre, fellow coaches, managers, trainers, support staff, and administrators at North Judson St. Pierre, Noblesville, Shenandoah, Frankfort, and Connersville. You all share in this award. I always appreciate your support, your ideas, and knowledge that we shared, and I truly learned as much or more from you than you ever did from me. We worked hard, we discussed, we evaluated, we motivated, and we always tried to get those darn kids to be and play better than they ever thought they could. I appreciate you all, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The main group, all you players, you've made me so much smarter than I really am. I can never express how much fun it was to coach you, and although trying at times, how much I enjoyed sharing that common competitive bond. There have been many shared experiences, both positive and maybe some not so positive, but those experiences help make us stronger and hopefully better players and men. Just like my coaching peers, you have taught me so many things along the way, and I thank you for that. I hope that there were positive lessons learned. I wish I could do a roll call for all the players, managers, coaches, trainers, administrators, and friends who have influenced my life. But since I can't, those friends and family and players and coaches, I wish you'd stand up right now, please. I thank you so much because you truly are the reason I'm standing up here today. I know time is short. I want to make sure I can stay up till the end of it. So thank you, and I love you all. Thanks.
Next, Jeff Moore from Scottsburg High School. That is the alma mater, but since 1990, Jeff has coached the Sullivan Golden Arrows to over 500 wins with a winning percentage of over 65%. Coach of the Year 4 times, has won 12 conference titles, 9 sectionals, 4 regionals, all at Sullivan High School. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Moore.
Dr. Eskew, I'm going to get us caught back up. Good evening. I'm very, very humbled by the honor of being inducted into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. And I want to say special thank you to Dr. Eskew for nominating me. He's a Sullivan boy also. Congratulations to all the 2025 inductees. And thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for including me in this elite group. I absolutely love Indiana basketball. That's why I do what I do. I'm pretty much an Indiana basketball history nerd. Read nearly every book ever written about Indiana basketball. Fell in love with the game of basketball in 2nd grade in March of 1969. Some of you, if you're from Southern Indiana, will remember this. Scottsburg High School basketball team was 25-0 that year, having a parade in front of the elementary school. They were called the James Gang, Bill and Bob James. Coach Barley was a Hall of Fame basketball coach. He also was our basketball coach at the time. We've got a lot of North Central Conference influence here tonight. Coach Barley played at Marion High School, was an Indiana All-Star in 1952, and played for Branch McCracken and IU in the early 50s. He's still one of my greatest mentors and a very good friend of mine. I was lucky enough to play for Coach Barley, my good friend Tim Hutchison, who's here tonight, through my junior year, and we played for Bill James, part of the James gang, my senior year. We were lucky enough to win two regional titles my junior and senior year. Again, Coach Barley's a very good friend of mine. Called me as soon as he heard I was being inducted. I absolutely loved basketball, and a lot of it has to do with him. While in college, I did my student teaching at Seymour High School, served as a freshman B-team coach under Gary Merrill, another Hall of Fame coach. First teaching job was at Brownstown High School as a JV coach for 4 years under a guy by the name of Otha Smith, Bobby Knight disciple. I learned a lot about man-to-man defense and motion offense during that time. Took my first and only head basketball coaching position at Sullivan High School and moved there in the summer of 1990. One of the first people I met in Sullivan was Chris Stitzel. He was my first JV coach, and he's a teacher. He went on to become principal, and now he's a superintendent at the Southwest School Corporation. I'll never forget my first interview as a head coach. B.J. Hargis, who was a writer for the local newspaper, first thing came out of his mouth, he said, the average stay for coaches at Sullivan is 2.7 years, and we've had several coaches left after 1 year. So I think I probably fooled them a little bit. Having such a great group of people to work with, that's what supported me nonstop. Kept me at Sullivan High School for 35 years. Alongside Chris Stitchell's John Stuckey, assistant superintendent of the school corporation. Sullivan High School principal Tara Jenkins. My assistant coach is Ken Spurtle, who's been with me for 31 years. Doug Boyd, who's been with me for 18 years. And another assistant, Brent Kelly, who's not here tonight, and athletic trainers. I just had so much support. My longtime former athletic directors here, Otto Clemens, and my current athletic director here, who I say have the hardest job in the school system because ADs can't please anyone. I'm fortunate to have such great supporters surrounding me, and I have the best work family at SHS. I do have one person I want to give a shout out tonight, John Montgomery, who owns a radio station, WNDI in Sullivan. He announces all our basketball games on the radio, and according to my wife, if you haven't listened to John on the radio, you're missing out. I want to congratulate John. He was inducted into the Indiana Sports Writer and Sportscasters Hall of Fame just last year. I've watched closely, coached against, picked the brains of people like Gene Miller, Jim Jones, and Pat Rady, to name a few of the coaches. Coach Rady and I are still very, very close. He would have been here tonight, but his wife Margaret had a surgery today. All Hall of Fame coaches. I've had so many wonderful memories, all the great kids I've played for over the years. I was lucky enough to coach my son, Jeffrey, and I'm so thankful for that. He's here tonight with my grandson, Jaron. I want to mention Joey Davidson, who was a great player for me, and now I'm kind of enjoying the same kind of relationship with him as I did with Coach Barley. My parents have passed, but they instilled in me the love of sports. I was always running around myself, taking myself and my sister Lisa to practices and games. I have so much appreciation for them. I have a lot of family and friends here tonight, so thankful for all of that. I love you all. And to my biggest fan, she wrote everything that's happened that's been positive here tonight is because of her. She sometimes says I'm whacked out during basketball season, and she's right. Sometimes she'll walk into the room in November and wave at me and say, see you in March. But here's what I want you to know, beautiful. I love you. There's nobody in my life that I would want to be on this journey with than you. Thank you very much.
Joining us next, Jim Shannon, Anderson High School. Jim has coached at North Decatur, South Dearborn, and Lebanon before 24 years at New Albany. 18 conference championships, 15 sectionals, 2 regionals, 1 semi-state, and the 2016 4A state championship at New Albany. In addition to being the all-star coach, he has coached 5 Indiana All-Stars. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Shannon.
Well, this is quite an honor, I can tell you. I've been sitting over there listening to all these guys, and I'm humbled just to be on the same stage with them. I'm just an ordinary guy. I was an ordinary player. I love to coach basketball. I've been blessed with some great players, and I would like to thank the committee and all those who spoke up for me. It wasn't just one or two people. I've had several people trying to get me in, so I'm very thankful for that. I have a lot of support and a lot of people who have helped. I thank the Lord for my family and my career, and I believe He puts others in our path to help us along the way. We don't always see it at the time, or we ignore it, or we do not quite appreciate it. But upon reflection, prayer, and the humbling of one's ego, we realize that these people were placed in our path, and it's always for our benefit. If you played for me, was a student assistant, video tech, or manager, worked alongside me as an assistant coach or trainer, or one of my administrators, or you are a loyal friend or a fan, and most importantly, if you are in my family, you have impacted my life and my career more than words can express. With just a few precious moments, we can't begin to mention the names of players without offending someone. Besides, no one player is more important than another in a team sport or a coaching career. There are players here tonight who I coached in the early 80s. I was an assistant coach when Troy played. I didn't really coach him because I just sat over there and watched, but I was there. Some I've just coached very recently. I'm here because of all my players who taught me so much. It's not fair to mention only the most athletic or prolific or to highlight only the most successful teams, but family is different. At this time, I'd like for the following people to stand and remain standing. Don't be mad, you probably need the stretch. Please hold your applause until the very end. My mother, who is also representing my father, Big Jim, who is no longer with us, please stand. My beautiful wife, Tammy. My son, Spencer, his wife, Priscilla. My grandchildren, Chloe and Liam. Spencer does happen to be my favorite all-time player, I will say that. That's the only one I'll mention. My daughter, Allie, who happens to be my favorite bulldog dancer of all time. Would my sister, Mickey, my brother, Trent, and their families please stand? Would my sister-in-law, Julie, and brother-in-law, Mike, and their families please stand? My mentor, Jerome Foley, is here, and he will be representing my other mentor, Norm Held. Coach Foley, would you please stand? They both gave me my start, and I'd not be here without them. Every one of you, please stand and remain standing. I promise I'll be brief. At this time, I would like for any player who played for me at Anderson, and believe me, there's a couple in here that really ages me because I think they're pushing 57, 58, maybe even 60. Maybe even be retired, I don't know. But anyway, please stand if you did play at Anderson. I coached freshmen 2 years there. Any player from North Decatur, please stand. Any player from Lebanon, please stand. Any player from South Dearborn, please stand. And finally, would any player from New Albany, where I spent a quarter of a century, please stand. Would any coach I coached with or against, please stand. Would all administrators I worked for, please stand. Would any fan please stand? Would any friend please stand? Many others could not be with us, but including them and all the people standing here, you each represent why I have been inducted into this Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2025. If I could paint the picture, at least to me, it would be definitely priceless and worth 1,000 words. Tonight you are here for me, but honestly I am here because of you. Now you may applaud. I dedicate my induction in memory of my dad, Big Jim, Barbara Oliphant, Jamie Huber, Tony and Denny Miller, Thomas Sawyer, William Finley, Little Tony Bennett, and coaches Norm Held, Don Criswell, Joe Stanley, Bill Slayback, and Ed Siegel. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Jim, I got a text during your speech. Given the amount of people that were standing, it is assumed you sold all those tickets. You're going to be in next year's class as well, just a heads up. And for all the places that you coached, it's not lost on me, you're rocking the New Albany Bulldog colors tonight. Congratulations, my friend, on a job well done. Now, Scott Hicks mentioned an all-time great in John Sherwin-Williams, and I'm thinking of him now because when he was inducted 3 years ago, I always feel somewhat bad about the person that has like the last name of the group that has to go last. But then, Daryl, I don't feel so bad because you're going to the Hall of Fame. If you had to wait for a couple extra hours, life's pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Warren from Linden High School. Now, I've lost track of all the different consolidations in Montgomery County. I believe Linden would be North Montgomery now. Is that correct? Well, not just at Linden High School. Daryl's the all-time leading scorer in Montgomery County history with 2,083 points during his high school career. Averaged over 29 points a game as both a junior and a senior. And I reference this with Mickey McGill. He also played his college basketball literally down the street at Nickerson Hall, was a 3-year starter and scored 1,200 points for the Greyhounds of then Indiana Central. Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Warren.
Wow, what a group to have to follow. That's tremendous. And Jim, I think everybody stood, so I don't know. So we'll try to keep this on time, so I know everybody's been here for a while this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this tremendous honor. I also want to congratulate my fellow inductees on being selected this evening. I am incredibly humbled to be included with all the individuals over the years that have been recognized by the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Indiana basketball in the late 60s and early 70s was indeed rewarding, especially playing in Montgomery County, where I'm told it all started. All 8 small county schools had the complete support of their respective towns. Each game seemed to be a standing room only, and the excitement was intense. Linden fans had to be the most loyal of them all. All of our games were away games because of our gym limitations, but the fans were always there. I have many people to thank, but would like to acknowledge a few groups and individuals who played a major role in helping me achieve success and ultimately this honor. To my family, beginning with my dad erecting the goal in our barn and encouraging me to take an interest in basketball while working on the fundamentals starting at age 8. My mom, who kept me healthy and always had a special pregame meal ready on game nights, and to both of them for guiding me to do the right thing. My 2 brothers for toughening me up in that barn, my sister who always had my back, and of course my wife Sandy, daughter Michelle, and son Noah for their continued support. I will forever be grateful to all. Thank you to all my high school teammates which many of them are here tonight. And since you guys haven't got to stand up yet, would all the teammates of Linden High School stand up? Come on. I will always remember each of their contributions to the success of Linden basketball and for helping me to achieve this honor. Also, thank you to all the people that submitted letters in support of my nomination. I am humbled by your generosity. I must thank head coach Tom Speaker, assistant coach Dave White, and family friend Fred Johnson for their initiative in getting me to this point. To Mr. Speaker, a special thank you for not only being a great coach, but also a great person that went beyond coaching. I'm pretty sure I would not be up here tonight without your continued support and commitment to make this happen. I'm thankful for Indiana Hall of Fame coach Angus Nickerson and to all of my teammates at the University of Indianapolis. They were awesome, and it was a great experience and time in my life. Legendary coach John Wooden's quote, "Success is a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable." I think this sums up what my parents were talking about years ago. In closing, I would again like to thank everyone involved for allowing me to be a part of this incredible day and evening. I would like to dedicate this honor to the memory of family members who are not with us tonight. I know they are all here tonight in spirit. Thank you.
All right, they've all got the plaques. They clearly all have the game, either as coaches or players. But we actually have to officially induct them as the final act of the evening. One more time, the president of the Hall of Fame, Donna Sullivan.
Will all of this evening's honorees at the head tables, plus those that honored their deceased parents or siblings, please stand. Head tables, and all those that were accepted for a deceased inductee. It should be about 4 or 5. Please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure as president of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame to welcome you as permanent enshrinement and induction into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame at Newcastle, Indiana, as the class of 2025. This concludes our evening. Congratulations to all those honored here tonight. Travel home safely. Thank all of you for your support of Indiana high school basketball. In 49 other states, it is just basketball, but in Indiana, it is basketball. Thank you.
Great job.